Right. Hey folks, Ori here. This is the Mists of Tirna Scithe 16 I was telling you about. It's obviously not my highest mist key. My 17 mists I did quite a while back. That seems to be doing well. Had got a lot of traction with you guys, but this 16 is with Tempest of the Lightbringer, Ocular Gland, and Overwhelming Power Crystal. And as my Halls of Atonement 17 video kind of said, this was interesting for a few reasons. Again, whole pug, so there's no communication, no heads up, no nothing. But I'm with two monks, a demon hunter, and a resto shaman. And this particular setup build, I really missed having Divine Resonance because I feel like my role should have been the pure single target beatdown, and you're about to find out why. But again, this key wasn't the smoothest key. It was done during a drinking stream, and the tank in question had 1 speed. So much so that Tredova got pulled, and I still had to get my ass from Mistcaller because I died. I got yeeted off the edge. Partially my own fault, but also partially just not seeing anything for the cluster of mobs, because in this particular dungeon, the tank didn't know what inspiring was, or refused to know what inspiring was. I don't know. But the guy pulled at a rate of like Mach 3. So this video is also going to be pretty fast. I'm going to play it at double speed, because a lot of it I don't need to bore you guys with on like certain tactics and things like that. We're just going to talk about how the trinket felt, what went on, and kind of why I felt the need that I should have been the single target carry, I guess, in a group with 2 monks. But we'll get into that. So swap to the main screen and we will play. So yeah, this is a ×2 speed. If there's anything in this video that you want me to go back and talk over, I can do in the comments below, or I can raise it up in like the weekly review on Wednesday. So this first pull is going to be a large pull. Initially, I was really excited because it meant I got to properly test out my build. And then I kind of just sat there and thought, well, I'm going to put my sword away now. And the reason for that is because of that. I did 26.6k. Usually, that's a respectable amount of damage at the start. The monk above me did 29k, and then the monk above him did 44. Like, I still have wings going. Like, I can't touch this monk for jack. And that's pretty much how it goes for the entire dungeon. Like, these 2 monks just have me on AoE. Like, there's nothing I can do. I don't have wings. I should have used my cooldowns here, but I ended up holding them, thinking that I'd need them for the 2 big boys. And the Executioner. One thing as well, I really wasn't on fire for this particular dungeon anyway, because Execution of Arath dies and I don't pick up the power. I have to come back and pick up the power after Ingram Alloc. Because I realized midway through the Ingram Alloc fight that, hang on, wait, we've killed 2 guys and I only have 1 buff. What the hell have I done? And that was partially due to the fact that this guy had 1 speed and 1 speed only. Like, you've got to be gentle to your paladins. We're wheelchairs for a reason. And so yeah, average DPS so far, I'm at 8.2. Monk 1, 9.3. Monk 2, 14.9. Yeah, you heard me right. I get to pop my wings. I get to feel partially useful here because I'm at, yay, I'm top DPS briefly, and this monk is catching me. Oh shit. Pretty much the summary of the Mists key. It was quite funny. But yeah, no. At least we get our moment to shine with Ingram Alloc, okay? Yeah, I still cannot believe that Ingram Alloc ended up taking an execution sentence for 250,000 damage. Like, Jesus wept. I love the Ingram Alec fight. I should really get a red hat and an accordion at this point, but yeah, like, and we pull, and this is the moment I realize that I'm at a power rather than two, and I'm just like, shit. Because I'm basically like 50% mastery, whereas I'd usually be at about 62, 63 at this point, having picked up the first DPS thing. Monk 1 goes down. We don't really have kicks to speak of, so Ingram Alex just stood there like a wet lemon. But last, and let's just go to 10. Yeah. And we go pick up my mastery. So we could have broken the 20k there. Nicely. But, maybe in the next one. Maybe I'll get like a nice 19 or something mists to do this week. Because it would be nice to get a couple of high keys done. But unfortunately, our healer time is away. Hopefully, he's resting, relaxing, and enjoying his holiday away. But that does leave us without a healer for a week on what is a relatively easy week, to be fair. Well, I say easy week. It's rough on the healer, but it's easy in terms of we don't have to worry about too much. It's just avoid taking unnecessary damage where you can. So, this was the first dungeon I properly got to play around with my overwhelming power crystal and an ocular gland. And this is where I started to realize just how impactful it could be during wings. Because I'm starting to reach those. I'm starting to touch on those kind of like 40k like AoE pack pulls that you see the likes of Quava doing and other high Ret Paladins when they stream. Because you occasionally see like them hit the 40 and, you know, maybe even 45. And I think I hit Quava saw 50 at one point, but I can't remember what dungeon it was in. And I'm slowly approaching that. I think if I had a mythic ocular gland for the extra mastery, that would definitely be an aid. Same if I had a 252 version of OPC. But hopefully the guild will get Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas down relatively soon, and then I can look to re-clear to try and get those bits of gear. Would be nice. But for now, not too bad. Do need to have to play around with stats though a little bit. Because I'm running 21% haste at the moment in my Mythic Plus set, just from stats, but I don't know if I should try and divvy that more into versatility and mastery and deliberately drop the haste. Because end of the day, the 21.5% execution sentence breakpoint is more of a recommendation, because you're not always going to get that extra global anyway due to mobility or whatever else. So it's whether or not I just make sure that what I do get in hits harder. And as discussed in the Halls of Atonement 17 video that that will be uploaded, my execution sentence average has gone from about 55k to about 70k. Average. During wings anyway. Which is huge. Now, over the course of a fight, the difference between overwhelming power crystal and the PvP trinket is that my miniature bursts, or my smaller bursts, so every other minute, without wings, the execution sentence with the PvP trinket is slightly higher, but not significantly so. Like it doesn't cover what is essentially a 15,000 damage increase while wings is up. It only equates to maybe 1 or 2 extra K for the execution sentence, depending on how much you've crit across an average board. So overwhelming power crystal is definitely a trinket to go for if you're looking for certain trinkets that you might need as a Ret Paladin, if you don't already have it. I did the news about overwhelming power crystal and how strong it is shouldn't really come as a surprise, because it's something that I have alluded to and talked about in other videos I've done, like the Plagueful dungeon where I converted my friend Saito Akira, or Tame to me, to using our build. in which he used Divine Resonance. Yeah, at this point I was just inspecting the monk because I was like, why can I not touch you for AoE, but I can, like, ruin you for single target? Explain. And we ended up in that situation. So, yeah, as I was saying, like, he has a 252 overwhelming power crystal, and I discussed in that video how his burst was, like, how our profiles for burst were slightly different, in that his was really, really, really front loaded because of the amount of crit he'd get, and mine was much more sustained because I was looking at more extending the damage out. Now, yeah, this is what I was talking about. Our tank just had one speed, and it didn't seem to know what inspiring was, because that killed both me and the monk. Yes, I got booped back, but I think I actually died before I got booped, because I think it was actually my corpse that got booped. Because with the inspiring mob, you can't interrupt the stack horns. So you can see there that I aim my mount drop. Unfortunately, the monk didn't, so I do stop and res. I do play the nice guy. But this kind of like go speed is, yeah, rather indicative of this particular tank. Lay on hands at a sack goes out. Try and just, yeah, it wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination. But no, it was a relatively good dungeon. My average DPS could have been higher. Should have been higher. Again, a few pointless deaths really impacted this. So I do think with a little bit more practice and a little bit more familiarity with Divine Storm, Tempest of the Lightbringer Legendary, and kind of missing out on the damage that Divine Toll will give me in a single target setting for a more spread out damage pattern. Yeah, that was just my own fault. But it's points like this that really affect my damage, because while the rest of the group is fighting and like continuing to do damage, I'm not. So that really kind of affected my overall damage. And this bit didn't help either. For safety reasons, I didn't want to come off that at full speed with a mount. Unfortunately, the tank then pulled Trid over, and I don't have Cavalier, so I don't have two steeds, and I'm not an engineer, so I have to waddle my slow Tauren ass all the way to Trid over at this point. Thankfully, the healer realised, didn't do anything, and waits until I'm within range to Bloodlust. And by range, I mean I actually throw a judgment, and that's when they Bloodlust. So I am connecting, which is nice, and you can kind of see where the benefit of overwhelming power crystal in our burst comes into it, because you see that, just go back slightly and slow it down to normal speed. We'll go back. Right. So going into this, 499k from one monk. The other monk is under 200k, and the tank is actually ahead of them. We've got Bloodlust, we've got everything we need, we've got all our buffs, we're above the 70% health mark, and we just go to town. We're going to do a lot of damage. Now, I know this is blowing the trumpet, and a lot of paladins know this anyway, and even people that aren't paladins know this. But this kind of stresses out where I think our damage should have been, because I'm able to put so much single target damage into targets that I really shouldn't have been running the AoE build for this. Keeping Imperium power is fine, yes, that's like not a bother, but I think having Divine Resonance for the extra single target damage would have been much more beneficial in this particular group setup, because I wasn't needed for the AoE at all. We had the two monks, and I don't know what Monk was in terms of Covenant, but I do know for certainty that ESCM was Necrolord, so Bone Dust Brew, and was doing a considerable amount of damage, like on their own for the AoE packs. They didn't need me or anybody else, as was showcased in that first poll where they were hitting like 50k AoE, which was just obscene. So we ended up pretty much like comfortably chesting that key. Like we two chested it, which did put me over my 2,200 score mark, which is lovely. My next goal will be obviously to hit 2,300 and then progressively climb up the ranks. Now, for the kind of Raider.io side of things, if I can get to 2,300, like 2,300 will put me in the top 25 on Kazakh. Which if we go to one guy who's, literally 2,304, that'll also put us very, very close to the top 500 Paladins in the world for Ret, which would be very, 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 very nice. But we got work to do. So I'm going to keep playing with the build. Going to keep seeing how it feels and playing around with like weapons, whether or not using Jaleth for the extra strength proc is better than using a 252 with stats paired with everything else, and we're just going to keep rolling. So hopefully this speed run augments the Halls of Atonement a little bit better, and you can kind of bounce between the two for ideas and things like that. But in the meantime, I will hopefully catch you all tomorrow when the guild takes on Kel'Thuzad and I get some loot, hopefully. Catch you all in the next one, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day.